Hello, great ones. You are welcome back to Physique Fashion House channel. My name is Fola. We are glad to have you back in our studio again today. Thank you so much. Today, we'll be learning how to make one trendy sleeveless jumpsuit with side ruffles. Let's go. Now, I've come here with my basic bodice pattern. And all I'm having here, this is my shoulder line, which is my starting point. And the half length is 17 inches that you are seeing here, and the half an inch is added as our hem, joining allowance, the one we'll be joining to the trouser part. Then we have our chest line of 8 inches, bust line of 9.5 inches. And this is our armhole. We get the midpoint from here to this point, 3.5. Then we enter inside with a 0.75, that's 3/4. Then we create our armhole curve. This is our darts. Now, the next thing we have to do now is to get our horizontal measurements. And to achieve that, we are working with a bust 32. 32 divided by 4 give us 8 inches. That's what we are having here, 8 inches. And on our waist line, we get our waist measurement, which is 27 inches. We divide it by 4, give us 6.75. That's 6 3/4. We get it on this line, 6 3/4. Then we return this 1 inch dart. Yes. So just go ahead and connect the bust to the waist, just this way. If you want to know more how we come about this our basic body, I have a video on that. We'll drop the link for it. So create my bust dart now. What I do is that I come to the chest line, the place I connect chest line to the waist line. I see what I'm having there. I have a 9 inches, so I get the midpoint of it, which is a 4.5. I mark it. So from there, I'll just connect this to the bust point, just this way. Then I come up and come down with half an inch, half an inch, half an inch. So from here, I connect to this half an inch. So I measure what I'm having here. From this bust point to here, I have 5.5. So it is that 5.5 I will get here. So I connect it. So from here, I connect to this end. Then I connect from here to the midpoint. Just this way. Yeah. So the bust that has been created. So before we cut out, the next thing we have to do is to get our neckline. And to get the neckline, what we do is that we get the upper chest line. So the upper chest line we are using 6 inches. Yeah, 6 inches. So we just connect it. We connect from these 6 inches, we connect to this hammer. Just this way. Our neckline has been formed. So the next thing we have to do is to cut it out now. Then we do the other necessary things. So remember that seam allowance has not been added. Yeah, this is it. So the next thing I'll do is to close this dart. We are going to close this dart, but this will remain there. I'll show you how this one will be done in our fabric. So just go ahead and cut this. Just this way. Yes, this is it. Then for this will be fold in your fabric. We are not cutting it, we are not closing this. In your fabric, this is the way you are going to close this. You are going to, you'll be sewing on it at the back. This is the wrong side of your fabric. You will place you will place it this way. You sew on this half an inch. So, and it will be facing up by the time you are ironing it. So you get your side darts just like that. I'm just showing you the way it's going to be after you have folded it in your fabric. So this is what you are going to have, but we are not cutting it out. So this is the way we are going to use it to cut out our fabric. So that is for the front cut of this project. So let's quickly cut the back. When you are cutting out your fabric, half an inch or 1 inch will be added as a seam allowance. Half an inch here, then half an inch up here. Half an inch has already been added to the down part. So let's quickly move to the back cut. Now we want to draft the back cut, and the basic body pattern for the back has been done. So this is the shoulder length, this is the starting point, and this is the chest line, while this is the bust points. We just used this to determine the darts at the back, and this is the length. And for the length, 1 inch has been deducted from the front. That is for the dart. We are going to hold the 1 inch as our dart. So that one will not be included at the back. So for the length of the back, the length will be 16 inches. This is 16 inches plus our joining allowance. So everything has been drafted out. The next thing we need to do now is to get our bust and the waist measurements. The bust measurement, this is the zipper allowance, 1 inch. Zipper allowance of 1 inch has been drafted out, and we rule it down. We get the bust measurement of 32 inches divided by 4, 8 inches. And this is the waist. The waist measurement we are working with is 27. We divide it by 4, give us this 3/4, that is 6.75. Then we return this 1 inch we are having as a dart. Then we just connect it. The next thing is to create the neckline for the back. So for the back neckline, what we are going to do is to consider what we get in the front, which is our upper chest line. We use 6 inches. We are going to be using the same thing here. You can make yourself your own lower, as low as 8 or so. So the next thing is for us to connect it to this. This is it, and let's shape the center back. Let's just, on the waist, we just come in with a half an inch. Here on the bust chest line, we come up with 2 inches. Then we connect it. That is to shape the center back from a zipper budge. So let me cut it out. Then we close that. Side seam has not been included. Let me just close the dart. There is no bust dart for the back. This is the back cut. So this is the front cut, while this is the back cut. We use this to cut out our fabric. Let's just move straight to the trouser part now. So this is the fabric I will be using for this project. It's crepe material, and I'll be using like 4 yards of it. Is by 60. So, and for the down part, I will be drafting direct on the fabric. So let's go. Now to draft the trouser part of our jumpsuit, I've come here with the fabric, because I will be drafting direct on the fabric. And what I cut out, this fabric you see here is on fold, and I used like 13.5 to fold it. The length of the trouser is from here. This is my starting point. Is 44 inches. So the remaining there is 1.5, which is a hem allowance. So this is the waistline, which will serve as the starting point. And from there, I have my hip line of 8 inches. Then the crouch line of 9.5. How do I get my 9.5? The hip measurement divided by 4. The hip measurement we are working with is 38. I divide it by 4. Give me 9.5. That will serve as my crouch line. Then I first of all mark half an inch here. This is my starting point. This half an inch you see here, I will use it as a seam allowance after the drafting. So what we do now is to get the measurement of our hip. Hip measurement we are working with, as I told you, is 38 inches. I divide it by 4, give us 9.5. So I mark 9.5 here at the waistline. 9.5. I mark it at the crotch line as well, 9.5. Then I connect it with straight ruler. Now, we want to take our waist measurement. But before we do that, let's quickly create the dart. So we create our dart by using our bust span, which is a nipple to nipple that we are working with is 7 inches. We divide it by 2. We get 3.5. So we measure 3.5 from here. We measure here as well. We connect it. Then I step down with 4 inches on this line. Here I come to the left and to the right with half an inch, half an inch. Then I connect it. This is where my dart will be head. So the next thing I do is to get the waist measurement. And the waist measurement we are working with is 27. We divide it by 4. Give us 6¾ So here we measure 6¾ We measure it from here. So for the waist, this is where you measure your waist from. You know, your hip could be measured from here. But for the waist, we measure from here. We measure 6¾ Then we return this dart of 1 inch. The next thing we have to do is to divide the hip. This is the hip. Hip measurement 9.5. We divide it into 4. We get something like a 2/4, like 2.25 or thereabouts, close to 2.5 anyway. We mark it. Then we connect. We connect from here. We connect to this to form our trouser crouch. Then we measure what we are having here after the crotch has been formed. So you measure what we are having. We have 12 inches. So that 12 inches, we measure it down here at the down part, 12 inches. So we want to connect it straight, 12 inches. With straight ruler, you connect it from the crotch. You connect. Let me use the long ruler to connect it straight up. So from here, you connect straight. You connect straight to the down part of your trouser. So this is it. The front part has been drawn out. So the only thing that remains is for us to add the seam allowance. For the waist part, from here, we connect to this end. Connect your waist to the hip. I'll do this. So the next thing we do now is to get our seam allowance of half an inch round. We have half an inch here. Half an inch. We connect it. We connect it. This is a half an inch up here. Seam allowance of half an inch up here. Then for the center front, mark your half an inch. This is half an inch. So I will roll it straight to the down part. That's our seam allowance. This is it. The next thing is for me to cut out. Seam allowance has been added to it. can hold it down with your office pin so that everything will be balanced. So this is it. I'll just go ahead and open this side. When you are cutting yours, you can go ahead and give like 1 inch allowance. Leave it there. So I'll just open it here now. All this is a seam allowance. This is a jumpsuit palazzo. So no shaping of the down parts. So the next thing you do is to notch the dart area so that when you are joining your fabric, you know where you hold your darts. Just notch it here. So this is the front cut. We'll go ahead and use this to cut out our back cuts and add every necessary thing front. Now, before we move on to the back cut of our jumpsuit palazzo trouser, another thing I will need to explain to you is that, you know, as it is a palazzo, I mean jumpsuit we are dealing with. So another thing we need to do here in this crotch area, you will see that I use a contrast chalk to draw a line here from the original crotch line, which is 9.5. You have to move down with 1 inch. Move down with 1 inch because it's a jumpsuit, so that you will not be having problem in that your crotch area. So that is what I've just done here. From the crotch line, I step down with a 1 inch and I rule it with a contrast chalk. So what we do here now is that from here we are going to link, from this very line we are going to link it to this new line. Now this is our new crotch line. So I just pick my covering, just the way I connect it here. I will just connect it to this end. Then I had my seam allowance of half an inch. So this is the one I will just connect together now. I hope you understand what I'm doing here. So I will have to cut off this now. If you don't do this, you will be experiencing a little problem in that your crotch area, because it is jumpsuit. If it is normal trouser, this one is okay. So now we move straight to the back cuts. We're going to be using this to do our back cuts. I've cut out another fabric now for the back cut, and I maintain the same length like that of a front cut, which is 46 inches altogether. You know, we have an inch up here as joining allowance and 1.5 down at the down part for the hem allowance. So the fabric is on fold. I use 18 inches to fold it now because we are going to be adding some things for the back cuts. You know, we used like a 13 to 14 inches to fold the front cut. So I'll go ahead and place the front cut on the back cut now. And as you can see, for the back cut, I first of all measure 1 inch. I ruled it down with straight ruler from up to down. So to place my front cut now, I'll be placing it just before that line. Let me just use one slice of the front cut to do that. So now I've placed my front cut on the back cut, and the first thing I'll be doing now is to extend this my crotch line. I will extend it by 2 inches. So my 2 inches will be measured from this line. You know, this is this half inch you are seeing here is a seam allowance. So I will be getting my 2 inches from here. 2 inches. I will connect it. So for the back cut, I will be adding half an inch all round. Half an inch will be added to the measurement even before the seam allowance. So let me do that first. So from here now, I had half an inch. So my half an inch is meant to be from this. So which means all this from here to here, half an inch has been added. So now we now had our seam allowance now. So seam allowance of half an inch will be added. I had half an inch seam allowance, then I had it at the down part here. Then I connect it. I connect from the ankle, I connect to the knee area. Then from the knee region, I connect straight up to the crotch area, just this way. So now half an inch will be added to this side as well. From the hip area, from the hip region, you add half an inch to the down part, then you connect it. This is the additional measurement for the back cut. So that is from the hip region. So we want to take care of the waist region of our palazzo trouser now. So what we do is that on the waistline, just come in with 1 inch. From here, come in with 1 inch. Just this way. Open it. Measure your 1 inch here. On the waistline now, measure everything you are having here. That is for the front cut. For the front cut, everything we have here is 9 inches. So from this, where you come in with 1 inch, you return that 9 inches, which will be here. You mark it. So you now take your cuff rule, just open this front cut. So from here now, where you come in with 1 inch, you place your cuff rule, connect it to this end. Then for this side of our trouser now, from this 1 inch, just connect it to the half an inch that you come out here on the hip region. That's our back cut now. The next thing is to cut it out. Let me see. Everything has been taken care of. So what I will do is that from here, I measure what I'm having from here, from this point of the front cut, what I'm having here to the dart region where I notch the dart. That is 4 inches. So I do the same thing here. I measure from here 4 inches. I notch it on the back cut. So that is where our dart will be head for the back cut. Let me just cut it out. How we do at the back cut now is that we had a half an inch that's supposed to be added to the back cut. Seam allowance has already been taken care of in the front cut, and that is what we use for the back cut. So we want to cut this side now. I cut from the down part as well. We have gone ahead and cut out the upper part of our jumpsuit. We have cut it out, adding the allowance where it is needed. 1 inch has been added to the side and half an inch has been added to up here and the armhole region. We cut out the lining. I use the same fabric to do the front lining. We cut it out the same way. And for the side, if your home material is very stretchy, you might just add half an inch side seam, or you don't add at all. It depends on how stretchy your fabric is. So this 1 inch is for the fabric that is not stretching. Now, so this my fabric is stretching a bit, I might end up using just half an inch for the side seam. So that is for the front cut, and the back has been cut out. Just the same, adding 1 inch by the side and half an inch here, half an inch here. You can see it. This is the zipper area being open. Everything unfold, and this is the lining I cut out for the back cut. The lining I cut out, what I use here is stretchy as well. It's like a, so that is for the cutting out. And the next thing is for me to go ahead and join this piece together. And for the front cut, the first thing I'll be doing is to hold my bust dart. I will hold the bust dart just the way you see it here. You can see it. Just notch here, notch it. This is where, and you are going to hold it the way you notch it here. You are going to hold it the way you see it, the way it goes. You can mark it in your fabric. So that is the way you are going to be holding your dart, just like this, with a half an inch here. You hold it the way it goes in the pattern, and then when you are ironing it, let it face up this way. So you do the same thing to the second side, and the same thing will be done to the lining. Then thereafter, go ahead and join the neckline. And join the neckline with our half an inch seam allowance. Okay. For the back cuts, I will do the same thing. You know, there is no bust down for the back. You open it and join the neckline. I want to explain to you how our ruffle will be attached. This is the side where the ruffle will be attached. So the way you are going to attach your ruffle, you are going to measure this. You are going to measure what you are having in this, the length of your trouser. This is the minus the seam allowance. Don't add the seam allowance with it, and don't add the hem allowance with it. So we are having like a 44 or thereabouts. So that's 44. You multiply it by 2. That is a 88. So if you want your ruffle to be fuller than that, you can multiply it by 2.5 or 3 inches. That's 44. So for this project, I will multiply it by 2, and it will give me 88. So it is that 88 I will be cutting out from my fabric now. I will measure 6 inches. The width of my ruffle will be 5 inches. I had a 1 inch seam allowance to it. Half will go inside, then I will use a half an inch to hold it by the side. If you like, you can just go and baby lock yours by the side. So I will cut out 6 inches, 6 inches by 88. This is the back cut. This is front cut. This is the wrong side. This is the right side. The way your ruffle will be joined to it, I've joined it together to get my 88. So I'm having like 90 inches here now. So, and I've gone ahead to stitch on it. So the next thing I will just do is to gather the ruffle. I will just pick one strip of my thread this way. Then I gather the ruffle this way. So when I gather the ruffle, where I'm aiming to is to get my 44 inches, which is the original measurement we measure here before we added the extra to it. And I've gone ahead to do the second one. I've done it this way. I've gathered the ruffle. Here I have it. When I measure it now, it will give me the 44 inches. Here we have it. We're having our 44 inches here now. So the way it's going to be done now, this is the right side. This is the front cut, and this is the back cut. I've placed it on the serve, and the ruffle is going to stay this side. It has to enter in. So what I will do is that I will just, this one is back cut. So this is the front cut. I will just place it this way. I place the front cut this way, and this is the back cut. Now my ruffle is in between. So go ahead and pin it down. I will pin it down from here, leaving half an inch that I will use to join the bodice. The half an inch that I will use to, and join to the bodice. I will leave it, start after that half. This is it. So I will just pin it down. so that it will not be pulling. I pin it down and I will sew on it. This is the way I will go and pin it down. Then I will sew on it here with my half an inch seam allowance. Then thereafter we'll turn it this way. So I will come and show you the outcome. Now, to attach that spag sleeve you are seeing in that our jumpsuit. So all you do is that after joining your bodies together, after joining the front and back together, and all the neckline has been taken care of, we have joined the everything, and we have top stitch. So to now add your spag sleeve, just cut out a stripe like this with two, like a 1 3/4 to 2 inches. Then the length cut out like a 17 inches. So to get the accurate measurement you are using here, what you do is that you measure your armhole now. After joining front and back together, you measure your armhole, you measure what you're having in your armhole, measure it round this way. So when I measure it round, I'm having 8.5, 8.5. And that's 8.5. So just keep that one. We have 8.5 there. So you now come to your pattern. You place your tape measure this way. You know, this is the chest line, which is 8 inches. So this is where our neckline is formed. So whatever left you are having here now, from here now, you have like a 4.5. And be reminded that 1 inch, we have our shoulder slope of 1 inch will be removed there. So which means we are having 3.5 left. So that 3.5 now, when it's good for front and back, it will give you 7 inches. So that 7 inches will now be added to the 8.5 that you measured here. So 7 inches plus 8.5 give you 15.5. So that 15.5 just add a 1 inch seam allowance to it. So it will give you like a 16.5. So just cut out 16.5 of this by 1.75 to 2 inches. So that is what you cut out to. Then you go ahead to join it by placing it this way. That your 1 inch joining allowance, let it be this way. You start from the back. Start because we want our joining to be at the back. So you join it this way with like 1/4 of an inch. You join this to your bodice. You join it round with 1/4 of an inch. Then you bring it to meet this at the back. Then you join it together. You join it together before you now fold it to the front. So I will go and do that and show you how it looks. So for the zipper area, I will just go ahead and stitch it down. I will stitch it down here so that the trouser parts will be joined to the bodice. Then the zipper will be fixed. Now I've gone ahead to join this stripe to the strip has been joined to the main bodice. I used like 1 centimeter, that is less than less than half an inch, but a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. So I use it to join here. I join it round. So I now bring the remaining. I use that 1 inch seam allowance to join it together here. So I just stitch on it. So the next thing I want to do now is to now fold it. This is the way we are going to fold it. You know, this is it. Then you bring this way. This is it. Then you place it on it this way. You can see this is the way it's going to be folded. So I will now go and sew on it like this, tiny. So that is the way it will go around. I will sew on it tiny. And we will have so ensure that you sew very close to this edge so that you will have a perfect finish. So that's what I will go and do now and do the second one soon. This I've gone ahead to join the ruffle, ensuring I start leaving like an inch before I start joining it from up here. And for the down part, I stop where the hem is being folded. So in that sense, ensure you gather your ruffle in like 42 so that it will not be too long. So, and I've gone ahead to join this side of the trouser. So let me just turn it to the right side so that we see the outcome overall. This is it. I've had the darts both in the front and back. Here we had it. So for this ruffle, I prefer you just multiply it by 2. It's okay when you multiply, because this one here, I just multiply it by 2, and I end up using half yard of my fabric for both sides of the ruffle, because I cut 6 inches width, so I cut out 3. That is 18. That's half yard. Then one of the 3 I cut, I share 1 into 2 and join it to the other 2. So, and this is what it gives me. So with half a yard, you are good to go for your ruffle. For me to join the crotch part now, I will start joining the crotch from the front with my half an inch. I will join it this way. I will just go this way. So ensure you overlock all these edges. So I'm going to stop as I start joining it from the front with my half an inch. For the back, for this back side, I will stop in like 8 inches, just this way, 7 or 8 inches. So the remaining will serve as a zipper allowance by the time I join the trouser part to the upper part. So that is what I will go and do now. And before then, let me just show you the front. The strip has been joined to the armhole area, and this is what it gives us. This is it. So let me join the crotch area of the trouser. Now this is it. I've gone ahead to join the crotch part of our trouser, palazzo trouser together. Here is it. This is the front, while this is the back. The zipper allowance has been this will be joined to then the next thing is for us to join this down part to the upper part. This is the way it's going to be. This is the back, and I will just join it together this way. Notch the center front so that it will align with this center front of your trouser. So that is what I will just go and do now. I'll go and join it together. So after joining it, I will fix the zipper. I'll be using this invisible zipper. I didn't get the matching color, so I'll just manage this. So let me go and do that. So now I've gone ahead to join the trouser part to the bodice, and this is the outcome of our sleeveless palazzo jumpsuit with side ruffles. You can see how beautiful it looks. I've gone ahead to attach my zipper. I use the invisible zipper. You can use any zipper of your choice. This is the back. It will speak better by the time it gets to the body. I'm sure you are really enjoying this video. Make sure you drop your comments on the comment section. Like it. Ensure you like this video. And if you have not still subscribed till now, do well to subscribe today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.